Thank you for joining. And I want you to welcome to Nigerian 365 Community Monthly Meetup for the month of April. It's nice to have all of you here. So I will be the moderator today. And my name is Timileyin Olaleye. I'm a Microsoft 365 subject matter expert and a cloud security consultant. And also, I have a few certification in Microsoft. So I have certification in security, Teams administration, and Microsoft Voice certifications. So because of our time, I won't take more time discussing about myself. So before we start fully, I want us to know we have few house rules I want us to keep. So firstly, I want us to know that this session will be recorded, and we are going to have a recording provided at the end of this session. Also, I would implore us all to please mute our microphone whenever we are not speaking, especially when our speaker for today is speaking. Please do not interject. If you have any questions or question, please note them down during the Q&A session so you can ask. And also, there is also a Q&A box. If you don't want to wait, then maybe you can always put your question in the Q&A box on your application. And also, I will want you to please follow us on our social media handles. So follow us on Twitter at ngm365, and also on LinkedIn page. You have it on the screen. And also you can follow our YouTube channel using the link you have on your screen. And if you have any feedback on how we can improve, you can also leave us a feedback using the Rebandly link, Rebandly NG M365 feedback. Your feedback is actually very, very important to us. So today, today we have a seasoned professional with us, person of Stanley, and it will be taking us through automating business processes with Power Automate and SharePoint. And he's going to focus on real world example on how to use SharePoint lists and libraries with Power Automate. So today, a little bit about our speaker. Our speaker is Stanley. He's an accomplished IT leader, a technical support and operation manager, and his expertise is in Microsoft 365 and cloud solution. He's passionate about driving innovation, delivering services and spearheading digital transformation. As Stanley is currently head of desktop support for LifeScore Group, and he has been he has been he has been using SharePoint and OneDrive for over 7 years, and he has been in the game of IT business for more than 8 years. Hi, Stanley. It's good to have you on the call.
Yeah, hi Timmy. Thanks for the intro. Let me see if my camera works today. Okay, it's working. One sec. Let me get a nice background. One sec. Hi guys. Good evening. I don't know, Timmy. So Timmy has already introduced myself. I'm Stanley. And I'll be your friend for today. Dissecting the world of Power Automate and business operations. Thanks.
Okay. Hi, Stanley. Nice to have you on the call once again. So before we go into your presentation, so I would like to understand, can you briefly explain your journey with Power Automate and SharePoint with us?
Okay, sure. Yeah. So as you all know, I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm a very patient person, so that's one good thing to know about me. Okay, yeah. So I actually started out my who is laughing at me? Okay. So I actually started out as a web developer, right? So I did computer science in school, and although I didn't apply for computer science, I wanted to do civil engineering, right? But I applied and I didn't get civil engineering. The course that was available then was computer science, so I went for computer science with little to no knowledge around it. But I knew that I could do like computer science because growing up as kids, the remote in the house gets spoiled. You try to fix it. Those kind of stuff. So it gives a bit of foresight and insight into what one can achieve. So, but yeah, I finished out started web development at that time. Designing sites with WordPress, Joomla, PHP and HTML as at then, right? Trying to understand what my area of specialty would be, right? So I've tried out software engineering. At some point I got employed with Heritage Bank at the time. Desktop support engineer, dealing with hardware and all. Right. So that twist and turn, right, made me discover that hey, I am not a software engineer, right? I had to be frank with myself, like I'm not a software engineer, right? So it was quite hard for me to think up logic, at the time, right? So I focused more on web development, user interface, right? What people can see, right? So at time went across, I now discovered that I'm more of an administrator, right, than a developer, right? So I know how to administer, like, so over the years I've had projects that I handle, so I know what to tell developers to do, right? So I found
Yeah.
myself I couldn't do them, right? So I found my niche in administration, right? And then got into tech expert, then loved SharePoint because it was closely related to development, right? So that's how I got into SharePoint, and then I now got to find out there's Power Automate that you could actually develop without needing to know the codes behind them, right? And I said, okay, yeah, that's easy. Because I ran away from coding because of the language, knowing when to call this language and all that, right? So I would say it's
Yeah.
I had to find my feet, right? I tested everything, found that came easily for me, which is administration and training, like giving back and all that. So yeah, so that's how the journey has been, like over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, that is quite an interesting journey.
Mm.
Like coming from computer science, going into software development, then coming into IT development, then falling in love with Power Automate and SharePoint. I think that's a very cool one. And based on your experience, I know you're seasoned. Actually, I know we actually work together
Mm.
when we're together in Tech Expert. So I know you are very good and with Power Automate and SharePoint, and I know you advise companies also. So
Mm.
I would like to ask another question before I will give you the floor to have your demo.
Okay, sure.
What advice will you give to businesses looking to build a long-term strategy for leveraging Power Automate and SharePoint for automation?
Okay, yeah. So for businesses that want to, looking at leveraging Power Automate or SharePoint, in their automations, right? So one thing I usually tell every organization I try to consult with, like, understand your processes, right? So understand your processes, see if every part, every flow in this process makes sense, right? So because in understanding your processes, you would now know the right tools, the right toolings to, bring into play at every point in time, right? So first is understanding their business needs. What are they trying to achieve? What's the goal, right? So understand your process, understand your business needs, right? So because that would that would involve conducting a thorough analysis of the current workflow, and then identifying pain points, right? Uh, how are you doing this now, right? What's the challenge, then how can technology come in, right? Then now which technology can work here? Is it would you be using a third party tool, or do we work with out of the box tool already exist in SharePoint, Power Automate and all that, right? So the first is understanding your business needs and what you want to achieve, right? And then that would now set a foundation for SharePoint, how SharePoint can come in, to help you itemize your data, store your data, transfer it from one stage to another, right? So the basic building block I would, speak to any organization trying to leverage Power Automate or SharePoint is to first of all understand what their business goals are, what are their business processes, and then that would now inform on the decision to what they would want to inculcate, right? Because SharePoint already comes with its own security architecture where the company can build upon, right? By creating access rules, creating security groups that manage, who has access to what and all that, right? So,
Um,
but the key goal is to understand your business process.
oh, okay, thank you so much for that, Stanley. So I will go on to you the mic so you can take us through what you have for us today because I strongly believe you have a lot in store for us today. So I yield the mic. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I don't know if I can share my screen a bit. Give me one sec. Sorry. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes. Okay.
Okay, cool stuff. Okay, so today, just like has been shared earlier, we'll be looking at how to automate business process with Power Automate and SharePoint, right? And it would be very interesting if we understand, what these two terms, what they mean, how they interact with, business processes and the like, right? So, what is SharePoint, right? So, SharePoint is an intranet solution within the M365 suite, right? That's the way I call it, right? So it's basically built around document management, right? Then yeah, document management because a document library is okay. So yeah, document management, and then Power Automate is more of the uh, automation tool within this M365 suite also, right? So Power Automate deals around flows, Microsoft Flow, drawing out in apps, Power Apps, and the likes, right? So within SharePoint, SharePoint serves more as a dynamic database, right? So how it relates to Power Automate, right, is that SharePoint serves as the database for whatever automation you might want to create, right? So we have other databases like the Dataverse, external connection to third-party data sets also, right? So, but yeah, SharePoint gives it also a building block for the data set. So, SharePoint list and libraries, they serve as dynamic data sets for storing and managing content, right? While Power Automate, it connects to SharePoint to enable automation, integration with other apps, and real-time notifications, right? So, SharePoint and Power Automate are included in the standard, M365 products, right? So once you have that product, give me, hold on, one sec. Give me 1 second, please. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So yeah, just like as I was saying, all right. SharePoint gives that building block. It gives us Power Automate, the foundation to leverage, stuff like SharePoint list. So we'll get to see all this much later. So I just want to give us a bit of background, right, so that we understand, when we get into hands-on, that how it plays out, right? So SharePoint gives access to SharePoint lists, and then SharePoint libraries, right? So where libraries contain more documents, lists contain, rows and columns, right? Depending on the data you want to capture, right? So SharePoint gives that building block for Power Automate to operate, right? Yeah, let's moving on. Okay. So just to give more real world use cases for Power Automate and the likes, right? So Power Automate gives you stuff like approval workflows, right? Like let's say your business is trying to automate leave process, right? Maybe project proposals, budget allocation and the like, right? So SharePoint captures submissions via lists, right? Uh, where then you can now use Power Automate to trigger emails, notification to approvers, record decision back into the list, back and forth, right? So SharePoint gives that database, right, to store the information that the Power Automate would use to make informed decisions and, trigger actions as necessary, right? Let's say you want to also track status of project deliverables, right, and all that. Uh, Power Automate gives you access to that. So Power Automate helps you monitor changes in document metadata and update users or log progress in a centralized list, right? So these are some few use cases, that organization leverage Power Automate for their business processes, right? One sec. Okay, cool. Yeah. Then you have tax notification, right? So let's say you have a SharePoint list that contains project status and all that, right? So you can create a Power Automate flow that would go through this, to check projects that have stayed in a particular status for a long time, notify those that are in charge, so that they can make informed decisions around these things, right? So coming to the benefits of automations, right? So automations help save time and reduce repetitive manual tasks, right? So automation helps to those particular tasks someone does every day, takes you about maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour to finish. Automation does that in split seconds, right? It gives you more time to focus on what matters, right? So automations also helps to improve data accuracy and centralization, right? So automation helps you to vet data, ensure that you are getting the actual data structure, right? Instead of having incomplete data here and there, automation would help you ensure that the accurate information you need gets to you. Yeah, like I mentioned, it enables employees to focus on high value tasks, right? So relegating these tasks to the automation to work on so that you can focus more on what matters, right? And then automation helps in enhancing the collaboration and transparency within a particular team, within a particular organization, right? Okay, so so this now brings us to our demo areas, so what to try to see how we can leverage, right, SharePoint and Power Automate to try to solve like some real life examples, right? Give me one sec. Let me stop sharing this and then share something different. Okay, escape. Okay, so let me share my entire window. This one. Okay. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool stuff. Okay, so let me open up my Power Automate environment, right? I don't know if we also have access to a test environment, right? So, but to get that, you just need to go into make.powerautomate.com, and that should load up this interface for you where you would get to play with things, right? So this is the Power Automate end of things, right? So I have access to this because I'm an admin on this tenant, right? So you need administrative rights to work with Power Automate. So we have like Power Automate admin rules because some organizations might not want to give you the global admin rights. So at any point you have a question, you can either drop it on the chat or you could raise your hand just so that we don't run faster than you can assimilate, right? So yeah, so this is the Power Automate. This is where we play with automations, right? And I think this should be it. Okay, so this is also the SharePoint admin center. This is the SharePoint admin center where you have access to create SharePoint sites, right? So also because I have admin rights, that's why I can see this, right? Okay, cool. So okay, let me create a brand new site, right? I wouldn't want to play with already existing sites, just so we don't get confused as to how I arrived to what. Right, so I already have sample projects I want to show us much later, right? But just let's start from the scratch so that we understand that it's not rocket science, right? It's not it's not rocket science. So let's create a site and call this. Okay, let me create a team site. So I believe before now we've had sessions around SharePoint, so we understand what team sites are. Right, just moving along, right? Okay, let me just create a standard site because we just need that for project. Okay, did I spell Mbappe correctly? Okay, so just a blanket name, right?
Hello, can you increase the screen view so that I can see what you are displaying?
Okay, the size of what I'm displaying.
Yes.
I think it's on the. Anyone else having issues with the site? I think it's already.
No, boss.
It's okay.
I think it's already on the.
I think it's perfect.
Okay, cool. Maybe if you're viewing from a phone, mobile device, so it might be optimized for mobile view. So that's why you might not be seeing exactly. But what I'm doing is I'm creating a sample site, right? Putting myself as an owner. So these are other sensitivity labels and all that. So we're not doing that now, right? Add member. So it's creating the site. Okay, so I'm thinking about a sample project we can work on together, right? One sec. Project Mbappe. Okay, let me open up this SharePoint site. Maybe later. Right. So once you create a SharePoint site, you have access to this particular default content, right? So you have your document library, these are document libraries, but basically these are form templates, site assets, style library, site pages, right? So what we want to do is, the project we'll be looking at is to create what's the easiest stuff we can create. So let's say we're trying to, so we have an event coming up, right? An event management flow. Right. So let's say we're having an event coming up and we want a situation where we can, where we can record a list of attendees, right? And then I want a situation where once anyone registers for that event, they get a customized email, right? Saying, hey, we've received your application, right? So instead of, so this is where Power Automate, this is how it makes workflows efficient, right? So ideally, what an organization would have done is maybe they have a form, someone submits, shows their interest for an event, and then maybe someone would now have to, copy the email, create a new email, put the email address, send, and now let's say you have 500, submissions, you would have to do that 500 times, right? Or maybe you have to see it, copy out the email addresses, put them in blind copy, doing those corrections, start sending it out yourself, right? So, but what automation does, it takes off that activity, takes off that stress from you. What the only stress that needs to work here is creating that flow, and the flow can then be reused for other, whatever event you have. Just need to change a bit of configuration, and it's still perfect for that. So to do this, we would want to create a list. Want to create a SharePoint list, right? We can either start from scratch, or we, as the organization detail for smooth operations. So you can either work with any of these templates here, right? None of this. Let me create a blank list. We'll call this champions league attendance, right? I know some persons on this call are surprised that I'm using Champions League and I'm an Arsenal fan. My God would shame all of you. Okay, moving on. Right. Okay, cool. So so it brings us back to my first statement I made, right? Please, no more laughing. Please, let's focus on the training. Thank you. Okay, so it brings us back to what I mentioned earlier, right? So you need to understand what your goal would be, right? Understand what your goal would be, because that would now tend to inform on, so this list I just created. If I understand what I want to achieve, that would now inform the columns I would have in this list, right? And then that would also inform on how I want to capture the data, right? Do I want to go with the SharePoint list? Is this an internal project that, okay, I would say, okay, give everyone access to this site, let them add their items, so that everyone just views what they added, right? Like for in a case of a leave application, right? You might just want to give everyone access to the list so that they can track the leaves that they've applied for, right? So understanding the business need and then the goal you're trying to achieve would inform the fields you might want to have on that SharePoint list, how you want to capture the data and all that. So, but for this, we'll be using Microsoft Forms to capture data into this particular list, right? So that's how we want to flow with it and all that. Okay, cool stuff. So yeah, so for this, we would want to have so because whatever we have here would also be what we would have in the SharePoint list. Sorry, in the forms that we'll get to create. So we'll kind of run through this real quick, right? So let me just add the title here. Should be rename. Title should be, let's say this name. Or just say full name. Full name. They want to capture the person's name, tell text. Let's say the person's name, phone number, single line of text. What other information do we need? What's their email address? Okay, line of text. Email address. So trying to attend that. So your name, email address, location. Right. And then maybe want to capture mode of transportation. How would they be coming to the event? Maybe you want to capture mode of transportation. So depending on what you want to get, right? Depending on the information you're looking for to capture, right? Yeah. Let's say we want to have a choice for sex, male or female. Right, the value is calculated. Okay, so this so just for example's sake, right, we want to use this, right? We want to have this. Let me be sure I 1 sec, list settings. Just want to see this. Okay, so I just try to edit this to follow the new name I've given it at this other end, because I know I can't delete it. All right. Okay, cool. So this here, Champions League attendance, right? So this is the this is the SharePoint list that would hold the information of this particular, event that we want to handle, right? And the question comes in, okay, how do we want to work with this particular flow, right? So I want to create a Microsoft form that once filled out would populate, the entries here, right? So let me do that. Let me just open forms. Okay, forms.office.com. Let's create a new form. Okay. Champions League. Okay. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Just trying to be as fast as I can. Okay, quick starts. Let's see. Text. Full name. This is required, right? We'll have phone number. Maybe. Okay. Okay, so I'm just trying to build out this form to look full name, email address, location to look like what we have here. 1 sec. Full name. Okay, cool. Where are you coming from? So you see, this is a bit different from the name we have down there, right? So that's how intuitive forms are usually, right? Where I coming from? This is required. This is required. Cool. Okay. Add new the email address. Okay, the email address, mode of transportation. How will you be coming to the event? Okay. So, okay, maybe do you want to make this? Okay, I think let's make this a choice column. You be coming. Okay, and then what other information do we need? Okay, cool. So we have this list now, right? Sorry, we have this form that sorry, go back to form review, right? So the form would look something like this, right? Go back. Okay. So the form would look something like this, right? And then we want to collect responses, right? We want to fill this out. So you can, I believe this must have been, so you can either choose how you want to, but for the purpose of this class, we'll keep it at that, right? Let's get back to this forum. Okay, cool. So we have a form, we have a list, right? We want to capture entries into that particular list, right? So what do we do? How do we go about it, right? So it brings us to this particular section we are, right? So under my flows, so right, these are the previous flows I've created for production purposes, like testing out some stuffs, right? So to create a flow, you click on create, right? And then you get presented with this. So we have automated flows, right? These are flows that are triggered by events, right? Something happens, they get triggered, right? So we have instant flows that needs to be triggered by the click of a button, right? So let's say you want to you have a flow, you've created a flow, so you need a flow that would only kick in when you tell it to kick in. So that's where instant flows come in. So we also have scheduled flows that are time based, right? So we have automated cloud flows that get triggered by events. We have instant flows that get you triggered yourself. Then we have scheduled cloud flow that are time based, right? So for this purpose of what we're trying to do would be using automated cloud flow, right? So because we want this flow to go into effect when a response gets submitted, right? When you submit a response to this particular form, right? So I want to get this capture. So you give it a name and then select the trigger, right? When a new response is submitted, right? So this is within Microsoft Flow, right? So we can click on create. So it gives us this interface. So when a response is submitted, right? So clicking on this would give you the interface to select which form are we talking about, like which form are we referencing, right? So you click on this drop down and then select the form from the list. So let's say you're trying to drop down and then you don't see the form, right? You can also enter custom values, come down to here, I think here, and then copy this form ID here at the top. So you see on this URL section, you have forms, office, pages, design, blah, 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 ID. This ID section is the ID of this form, right? You can also use the ID, here to form ID. So this is asking actually for form ID. So you can either pick the form, right, or enter custom value and then put in the ID. It still works, right? So, but because it already has that in view, it picks it out also like from here, right? So when a response is submitted on this form, right, what do you want to happen, right? So the next action we need to do here is, in programming, when you create, when you want to work with a variable, right, you need to create a variable. When you want to work with, let's say, you want to catch information submitted, so you need to create a variable that would hold that information, right, so that it can be transmitted. It can be used for the computation, right? So what we want to do here for every time we want to catch form responses is that we want to get the response detail, right? You want to get that information, put it somewhere, right? So get response detail, this, for which form are we talking about? So we'll still select this dynamic entry when a response is submitted, when the response to request ID, right? So these are dynamic, this particular stuff here, dynamic entries, right? So when a response is submitted, get the response detail, right? Form ID, we'll select the form that we want to catch. Then response ID, which of the response that happens on this level, right, on this first level, that's what we want to get. So that's why it has response. So this is the unique identifier of the response, right? And also so that it's specific for each submission, right? So we want to get response detail, and then what do we want to do with that response, right? What do we want to do with the response, right? So we want to enter that information into a SharePoint list, right? That now gives us, move to the next level where we say click plus, create item, right? And then where do you want to create that item? SharePoint, under SharePoint, right? So we have other, you can create an item in Teams, you can create an item in OneDrive, you can create the tags in Planner, you still have other create. So where do you want to do that? We want to do that in create an item under SharePoint, right? So that now gives us a dialog, right? Where we now need to choose the site we, trying to bring it into perspective, right? So where do you want to create this item? Which site is that, right? So you select Project Mbappe here, and then it goes into that site and then asks you which of the list do you want to update, right? So we'll select the attendance, and it will now fetch this and then try to populate here, right? So if it doesn't drop down, you just click on show all, right? Just so you can see these items show up. So if you notice, these are the columns that we had earlier, right? Full name, phone number, email address, location, mode of transport, and sex value, and these are content type ID, right? So this is actually not relevant for what we want to do, right? So when the response is submitted, you get the response, and then you create an item in SharePoint, right? So this particular flow removes that effort where you collect form entries in an Excel file and then try to put them into SharePoint list. And so this does that particular tasks for you, and then you can go about your Busayo.
Okay.
You can unmute yourself, yeah.
Yes, okay. Something that's not clear to me here, or maybe that was something I'm in my mood for something happened to my phone, so I'm out of the call.
Okay.
How do you lay three apps together? You are using Sharp and SharePoint to create sites. You are using Form, and you are using Power Automate. More or less three linking three. How do you link three together? Because I don't understand. I understand SharePoint, how you create site.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. To answer you, right? I don't know if that are you done with the question? Sorry.
No,
Sorry for
are you creating the form from the SharePoint or you are creating forms separately? So that's the question. How do you link all the three apps together?
Okay, yeah. So the form I'm creating it separately, right? It's separate, right? So it brings us back to the point I raised earlier, right? Understanding your business need, right? And then what goal are you trying to achieve, right? Give me one sec. These dogs are doing crazy. Okay, sorry about that. So I think someone is coming up my stairs. That's why they're a bit uneasy. Okay, so yeah, understanding the business goal. What are you trying to achieve, right? So we are hosting an event and we want to gather responses from people that might want to attend that event, right? So how do we gather responses from them? Because this is an external event, right? And these persons do not necessarily have access to our SharePoint environment, right? So how do we get that? Microsoft Forms comes to mind because it's the whole M365 products are interlinked. They are linked to themselves, right? So that comes to mind, and then that's why Microsoft Forms came to mind, and then we're trying to collect entries with Microsoft Forms, feed it into our SharePoint list. I don't know if you get, right? So we're collecting entries using Microsoft Forms, feeding it into Microsoft list using Power Automate as the engine handling that particular task, right? So this servicing this to service this, right? So we can also link Microsoft Teams if we want to update. We can also link other apps here. So now, depending on the business need you're trying to achieve, right? Once you understand what you're trying to achieve and the goal, and you have your goal in mind, right? That would now inform your decision as to what tools you would, integrate to achieve that. Correct. So your entries could have come from Excel, right? So you can use Excel to maybe feed it into a SharePoint list, right? So because you can actually add SharePoint list, I think, yeah, there's a way you could add add entries from an Excel file into a SharePoint list. So there's a flow for that. You can create a flow that would do that particular addition. So, but usually I find it a bit easier using forms, right? So because forms removes that complexity for me, right? I don't need to start checking up on, the columns and, doing that. So it's easier with forms because it helps me at that point of submission, to also notify the person that submitted a response that, hey, we've gotten that feedback, we've gotten that particular submission you've made, and we're making arrangement, depending on what event category that is, right? Okay, give me 1 sec, please, 1 second. Okay, so where was I? So this is the SharePoint list, and so we're here, right? So create an item, right? In this, so we want to create this. So what item do we want to create? So this gives us the list of columns. These are the columns on this SharePoint list, right? And then it gives us an avenue to populate these fields, right? To populate these fields, right? So here I need to click on this dynamic entry, and then from get response details, right? I want to enter full name here. Phone number, I want to enter what's phone number, right? Email address, what is your email address? Get response detail. Enter your email address, location, where are you coming from, right? Mode of transportation, how will you be coming to the event, sex, enter custom value, click on this, what's your gender, right? That's the entries I want to, create in that SharePoint list, right? And then, so that's it on this end, right? That flow we want to create, right? But then going a step further to show how we can use Microsoft, how we can use lists, no, how we can use automations to also notify, right? So here we want to send an email, right? Send email. Send email version 2. You can actually use anyone, to be honest, right? Okay, so there are quite a lot of send email functions in Power Automate, but I like using this. I don't know why I like using this. Maybe because I was taught to use this, right? So yeah, so this gives you an interface to draft the email that you would want to work with, right? Okay, so you need to specify the subject, who are you sending this email to, right? So let's switch to advanced mode, right? I'm sending this email to get response detail here. This person that submitted the email address that was provided on form submission, right? So that's the person I want to address this email to, right? And then what was the subject of the email? I can put in, hold on. I'm very reliant on, I don't know, ChatGPT has been down for me. Okay, it's up now. Okay. Okay, still down. Let me use one sec. I'm trying to just get. Okay, so you put in a subject that looks like this, So I'm using this thing. I'm using Copilot to just get a draft email, just something, not too fancy, right? Right, so dear participant's name, and all that. So here you put in dynamic values, because we want to, let's see, where are you? Okay. No. So here, dear, sorry. Pick one, dear, what's your full name? Thank you for submitting your entry to. Thank you for submitting your entry to. Right, so just depending, you can fill out this stuff depending on what you want to achieve, right? And then that would be it, right? So one other thing to bear in mind, if I go about to run this flow, this email will be sent out as myself, right? So what I usually advise is for when creating automations that would notify users, it's best to create a shared mailbox, have you the admin have send us permission on it, and then use that email address here, right? So that it serves as the from address, right? So let's quickly create one, and then I'll just drop the link to this form on the chat so that we can test it to see how that works, and then we'll get that stuff populated. One sec, give me one sec, please. Jesus, I don't forget. Wait, okay, shared mailbox. Okay, add a shared mailbox. Call this project Mbappe. Yeah, project Mbappe, because it's used by this. Okay. Uh, Okay. So usually when you create a team site, it creates an M365 group using the name of that team site. So that's why it says that email address was not available at that particular point in time, right? So yeah, let's just copy this, right? Copy this, come back to your flow, and then update the sender's location, right? So that any email going out of here, right, would, so if you want to add an attachment, you can also do that, right? From here, right? So, but that's about it on this end, right? Then you save your flow, right? So once you click on save, it goes through your flow to confirm there are no errors on your flow, right? Your flow is ready to go. We recommend you test it, right? So at this point, bearing in mind that this flow gets triggered, you know, when a response gets submitted, right? So you've saved your flow and your flow is good to go, right? And then all you just need is to, okay, hold on, give me 1 second, please. 1 second, guys. Okay, collect responses. Anyone can respond. Copy the link. Yeah, if someone can be kind enough to just interact with this form, let's see if it works the way we want it to. You can just submit that. Let's see if here gets populated. I would just stop sharing real quick. 1 sec. Yeah, Timmy. I'm dropping you a chat. Okay. So if anyone fills out that particular form, let me know. Just so we could check on our own end also. So I'll be on mute. Okay. ISO mentioned that they filled out the form. Let's see if we have an entry here. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so that seemed to work as expected. So let me know if you also got an email, you know, just an email from that email address we created. Let me know if you got notified also, right? For that. Okay. Wednesday. Meeting started. Okay. Okay. Someone said they haven't gotten an email, so probably it will still drop. But let me see. Okay. Capture form entries failed, right? So it failed to send out an email, right? So let's edit. Failed to send out an email. Why did it fail to send out an email? Okay. So it seems there was a bad request. Ah. Okay, cool. Let's edit this. So there was an error here on this end. So let me remove this guy. So I usually don't like putting that guy there, right? So if you call up a particular field and you don't populate it, that's when you get that error message. So sorry about that, guys. Okay. Okay, cool. So let me myself, let me submit an entry. just to show us how this will collect responses. Okay, what's my name? Preview. Okay, that's my name. Stanley Ezendiokwere. Phone number 07067434965. Where am I coming from? I'm coming from heaven. England. What's my email address? Ezendiokwere. Okay, I'll be going by road. I prefer not to say. So I submit, right? So I submit this response, and then this list gets populated, right? It takes a while. So it gets populated here, right? And then I should receive an email. I should be here, right? I should receive an email. Let me see if it went to spam. I should receive an email. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so 512. It's 511. This failed. Give me 1 second, please. Okay. Forbidden. What is forbidden? Okay. It's actually good this error came up, right? So this error is because I am not a member of this particular group, Stanley. I've not added myself to this shared mailbox yet. That's okay. So in developing automations, error messages are gold mines, right? Because it helps you understand where you've made a mistake in, and then sure, 1 sec. So you can make that necessary corrections. Give me 1 second, please. Yeah. Yes, Timmy. Yeah, it's a permission error. Thanks for that. Okay. Okay, so that's been fixed now, and that should run. So I don't need to make any so let me resubmit this particular information, right? And then let's see. It takes a while. Okay. Okay. Edit flow. This should be okay. I'm sending from here still. Save. Okay, so I've added myself already here. Send items, become a member of this. So I should have an email. Not yet. Okay, cool. let me submit a new response. This should work now. Submit another response. What's my name? Query. Phone number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Where I'm coming from? Okay, that's my email address. Ezendiokwere. Okay, cool. What I'm coming through flight, and I prefer I'm a woman, and I submit, right? So I submit this response. It should create this entry here. Should create this entry here, and then I should now be notified. If it still doesn't notify me, still doesn't. What could be wrong? What could be wrong? What could be wrong? Okay. Okay, let's go back. See, 516. That should be this. Okay, I think it's taking a while to reflect. It's taking a while to reflect. So because I've added myself already, right? So it's still probably propagating also. So but at least we get the whole idea, right? We get the whole idea. Send us permission. Yeah, I have all required access. So it's just propagation time, right? Sending it from within Exchange to Power Automate, right? To get that fixed. Da, 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 da.
Okay, thank you so much. So maybe in our next month, maybe we
Yeah, so would probably pick it up from here next time, Timmy.
can see it. So our speaker for years and opens presently. So sorry, but but next month is going to come back to me. However, based on what the show us, I believe it's just a permission issue. It should work. So I want us to try it again. So next month when we have any, and then we can ask. Also, we can also reach out to Rafiah on LinkedIn. His name is Stanley. I don't Stanley. So you can check him over. Check him up on. I know what small person. Just what you have on your screen. That's his name. He will definitely answer all your questions. Okay. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, this early part of the demo is going to be recording. Then you can go to the recording, try it again. And also for people that are not out there, this is a Microsoft. So also on your LinkedIn. So if you have any on Twitter or LinkedIn, and also we would love to join WhatsApp. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please can you drop like
We can hear you, but your voice is not loud enough.
How about now?
Yeah, it's fine now. It has gone back.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you very well now.
Sorry, I think there's an issue with my headset. Yeah, so like I was saying, you can check us out on Twitter as NG365, NGM365 on Twitter, and on LinkedIn, search us on LinkedIn NGM365GRP, and also on YouTube is also Nigeria M365 community. So there, YouTube on our YouTube page, you are going to see videos of previous sessions that we had, and also not only for our monthly meetup, we also have videos for our mentorship program. So talking about mentorship program, if today is the first time joining us, I want you to know we have a mentorship program going on for graduates and people that want to switch career to Microsoft 365. So we have a mentorship program going on. So if you like to join our mentorship program, or you love to join our community, if you are yet to be part of the community, you can just leave me a message so that so I can add you to the group for the mentorship program, and I will be dropping the link to our community if you are not part of the community yet. So you can also join our community. But okay, so thank you all for joining, and we hope to see you again next month when we'll be meeting. Do have a good one.
Thank you very much. Thank you for